I think in all of this darkness, sometimes people can get stuck there in the darkness. But I really do believe, Camille, that all things, no matter how messy or painful, can be turned to our good if we give them to God. And so for me, my relationship with God, prayer is a huge part of that. And prayer became my solace. So in those days, or on those days when I felt that wave of emotion and frustration and anxiety come over me, if I would go to my knees and I would pour my heart out to God, I could feel his love and his reassurance that no matter what happened, that he would take care of me and he would take care of my family. I believed God again would make something good out of all of this pain, but I didn't know what the outcome would be. And I felt that hope and that courage whenever I would sincerely go to him in prayer. Also, I knew that if I held onto those feelings of anger and resentment, it would just eat me alive. So the day that my father came forward, I really can't credit myself for this. I was able to put my arms around my dad, tell him I love him, and forgive him because I knew that was what God would ask of me, to forgive my father. And now I'm not going to suggest that in every case God expects us to forgive that quickly. But I do believe that God understands that forgiveness is a gift that we give ourselves. Because when we forgive those who have trespassed against us, we are freed from those corroding feelings of resentment and anger that really can kill us. And so I believe that that was a gift from God, that I was able to forgive my father so quickly. Um, so I wasn't hanging on to those feelings that would have made my pain so much more deep and toxic. But I will say, as a side note, that forgiveness is not the same as trust. And it's very important that we make that distinction. In order to trust someone who has betrayed us, they have to demonstrate a change of behavior. And that takes time. And that trust is built drop by drop over time. And so remembering that forgiveness is not the same as trust, but that I do believe that if we choose to forgive, we will be able to move forward faster beyond the pain. And also, we have been fortunate to have a happy ending. And obviously, it's not the end yet. My parents are still working at their marriage. My dad and my mom have chosen, though, to actively work their recovery as individuals and in their marriage. And you know what? Miraculously, their marriage survived. It truly is a miracle, Camille. Miracles never cease. Anytime I need evidence, proof that miracles still happen, I just look at my parents. And they are now helping thousands to find hope and healing. Um, People who suffer from sexual addiction and betrayal trauma, they need light and examples to look to for hope and healing, because it is so prevalent, and there are so many people who are hiding in the shadows, both those who suffer from addiction and those who suffer from betrayal trauma, because there's so much shame connected to this challenge. But I love how God can make, again, our mountains, our messes, he can sanctify them and allow us to become great helps to our fellow men if we will trust him enough to follow him and his son. Um,
Well, I love that. I love how you've taught it, our listeners, about trust. I think first it's important for us to understand that God doesn't trust all of us. We have to earn God's trust. God does love all of his children, but loving them does not mean that he trusts all of his children. We have to earn God's trust. And so it is for our fellow man. We are commanded to love everyone, to forgive everyone. But God never has given a commandment where he has said you have to trust everyone. No, trust is earned. So it is for God, and so he expects it to be for us. But it's also important to understand that to forgive someone, we have to allow it. I love that about you, Tara, because you were angry, but you allowed God's forgiveness to fill your heart. And some listeners may say, if they experience something like this, I can't forgive. And I would say, you're right. You can't, but God can through you. God is perfect and he can forgive those that have hurt us deeply. And all we have to do is choose to allow God to fill us with his forgiveness. It's his forgiveness that we give others. It's not really ours, it's his. And it makes it easier to forgive people when we understand that we need to just allow God to fill us with his forgiveness and his love for others.